I love it when it says live. The cameras are on. This is Dan McCormick, and she is Cara Brook from St. George, Utah.
Hello.
Welcome to the greatest salesman, Cara. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
I am so thrilled to have you here. I got to tell our audience today, I don't know where people are going to be listening from. I know you're going to have a lot of friends, a lot of fans. I know I'll have friends, fans, people last week from all over the globe chiming in. But when I started with the concept of having a podcast on a weekly basis, I'm on the phone with our mutual friend, Paul Blanchard. And I said, Paul, I only know Cara through a mutual friend, Amanda. And I said, but there she is chiming in right now. She's on the screen. I said, wouldn't it be great if we could have Cara come on the show? And Paul says she would be terrific. So for those that don't know Cara or don't know me, we don't know each other. We just know what each other does, and we can appreciate the journey. We're going to be here every Wednesday. I call it Wisdom Wednesday, 2 p.m. Pacific, talking to the greatest salespeople in the world. Our lineup is just loaded. And I'm going to say at the outset, for those that are just joining us, look at these fantastic people joining, commenting from all over the world. The Greatest Salesman was a book written by Og Mandino 52 years ago. And this book was put in my hands as a young man at 19 years of age, somebody that didn't have any self-esteem, didn't have any self-worth, didn't have any net worth. Somebody told me that if I read this book and I applied the principles, my life would change forever. And here I sit 37 years later. And I like to start the show off by just telling you who the book was dedicated to by Og Mandino, because I think it reads so beautifully. And I think that the book is dedicated to a man that literally saved Og Mandino's life. So in a sense, it's a pay it forward kind of dedication. And he says, W. Clement Stone, who has blended love, compassion, and a unique system of salesmanship. And I love these words, into a living philosophy for success, which motivates and guides countless thousands of individuals each year to discover greater happiness, good mental and physical health, peace of mind, power, and wealth. And when I think about those words, Cara, and I hear what people say about you that know you, you obviously stand for something really important. And I wonder if we could start the show off by you just maybe for giving a value to our audience right away. Maybe what are 3 things at the top of your mind that shape your leadership, your life, your family, etc.?
First of all, thank you so much for even having me. And I love this question. 3 things that really, really shaped my life. One would be creativity. I think that a lot of people see creativity as something some people have, some people that do obviously creative things like, drawing or music or, those kind of things. I think kind of take the shift of creativity and make people see it one way, but really there's so many different ways to be creative. And I really do believe that every single person, no matter how right or left brained you are, needs creativity and helps thrive within it. And I just see it as kind of finding new ways to do things, finding ways to reach your goals. And so creativity is something that shapes every day of my life. Optimism. I'm a natural optimist. And so I'm very lucky that way. But I have found that optimism is the most vital thing for me and really for anyone. It can be very hard to stay optimistic, but I've never regretted it. And it's something that I think even if you don't have a natural optimism, you can cultivate it and become where you just see things from the bright side. It doesn't mean, a lot of people see it as kind of you're just not seeing things the way they are. And I totally disagree with that. I think that you can see things the way they are and also see the very best of them. And that sometimes, not every single time, will it end up being what you wanted it to be, but you'll always get something out of it and you'll always learn something. And then the third is courage, which there's it's another word that I think you can use a ton of different ways. But for me, one of the most important ways that I use courage is just persisting until I succeed. So not giving up has been, and it sounds so cliche, but not giving up has honestly been the most important part of my journey in creating the business that I have, because even though you have to change course, and even though you might have to give up on certain expectations, not giving up on your ultimate goal and never letting if you're not going forward, you're going backward, and never letting that decisions get made for you because you're just kind of standing still. So those are my 3 that I thought of off the top of my head.
I got to tell you, I had no idea what your answers were going to be. and because we haven't talked, I mean, we haven't spent a lot of time together, but I got to say, those are outrageous words for your life. I mean, I'm thinking about what you're just saying there, and I'm saying to myself, you're right. I could be more creative as a father. I could be more creative in engaging with my grandkids. I could be more creative in engaging with distributors, with friends. I mean, Dave Blanchard likes to call me Dan the Sunshine Man. And
Why?
I need to be even more creative as a friend. And I think that I love bringing it out that really Og Mandino was a friend to everybody, because when you're a principle-based person, I think you treat people the right ways. And so I am so thrilled. And I think that you can see the people chiming in here, and I'm not sure how many are online with us currently, but I know that we're going to have thousands watch this podcast around the globe. But creativity, okay, I love that one. So optimism is something that everyone, I think, can really learn from. I know one great mentor says that he could be at the bottom of the deepest pit in Nova Scotia, and he still should be an optimist. And so your words ring true to great, great leadership and courage. And using one of the scrolls inside of Og's book, I will persist until I succeed. I mean, how beautifully is that tied in? So thank you for giving that some thought. I'm just looking at all the people that are chiming in here. So that is really fantastic. So let's go back a little bit.
Okay.
Let's look at you as a leader of thousands and thousands of home-based entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the vision? You have a company called Mascara. How did that start for you? Where did that vision of entrepreneurship come from? I'm guessing inside of creativity for you.
Yeah. So my story starts when I was in 5th grade. I had to do a science project, and I come from a family of 8 children. So when I tell you that my mom and dad didn't help with my science projects, you probably believe me. So I remember distinctly that the teacher said that we could either do, a typical science project, or that an invention could count and fit into that whole science project vibe. So I decided I wanted to do an invention because that sounded so much more fun to me than science, even though I didn't know they were the same thing. And so I was trying to think of something to do an invention on, and I noticed that a lot of the moms of my friends had makeup, and they all kind of seemed to have kind of a different relationship with it, but I felt like most of them seemed to complain about it a little bit. Either they complained that they didn't understand it, or they complained that it wasn't easy enough, or that they didn't do it well. And I just thought, for something that all of them seemed to have, even the ones that didn't look like they wore it, why do they all have this thing and nobody's done it right? Nobody's made it work for them. Nobody's done the thing that it should make it easy and make them feel confident and all of that. So I thought, you know what I should do? I made a clay mask that form fitted to your face, so that at night.
Can I pause you just for a second? I want to just say, how old were you when you did this?
11.
Oh my gosh, this is great. Okay, carry on.
So then at night, you put all the makeup on the clay mask, and then in the morning, you just had to pop it on. And the beauty of that, in my eyes, was you could sleep in. It would be easy. It would be quick. And it didn't really work. But I never lost that hope that someday I would be able to make a product that would make things easy and would actually fulfill what makeup should do, which is make women feel confident and beautiful and not make them feel less confident. So that was kind of always my goal. And I didn't really know how to reach that goal. How do you start a makeup company? It's not that easy to do. And it seemed like you probably needed a whole lot of money to start and things that I didn't have or have access to. So I just learned everything I could about beauty and makeup and art. When I went to college, I didn't really plan on graduating. I just planned on taking classes that I thought would help with my ultimate goals. So I took entrepreneurship classes and art classes and painting, portrait painting. Just I was so obsessed and am still so obsessed with how beautiful the human face is. And ultimately, I finally came up with this idea of this product that I wanted to start. And I thought, well, I still don't have any money or connections or any idea how to even get this made. So at the time, I had not seen beauty blogs, and they existed. There were hundreds, if not thousands of them already. But in my eyes, I had seen a bunch of other kinds of blogs. And I thought, you know what I should do is this beauty blog where it's like a beauty magazine, but I teach people beauty. And I thought it was a novel idea. And to this day, I'm so glad that I thought that, because it kept me thinking that it needed to be done. I think maybe if I'd seen how many there were, I would have been a little discouraged and said, you know what, I'll just let them do this. So I'm glad that I didn't know, but I made the beauty blog, and at its highest, it was reaching about 3 million people a month.
Wow.
Which is so crazy and exciting. And I was able to create this product, and I kind of had this really cool way to market the product, and this group of women surrounding me that were just so supportive and amazing. So that is kind of the story of how I created the company.
And your name is Cara.
Yes.
The name of the company is Mascara. I just got to ask, where was the genius in this? I love it.
Thank you. The genius was actually my sister. We had been brainstorming. I know that names are so important, and the name had to be cool and fun. And we'd been brainstorming for weeks. I had everyone in my family thinking about it. My dad was throwing out ideas left and right. One of his greatest was begorgeous. And he was like, it's like be gorgeous, but begorgeous.
Love it.
Which didn't make the list. But so then I was talking to my sister, and she's like, I wonder if we should just use something like a play on words with your name, Cara, and then we could use mascara and maybe spell it different. And I ran home as soon as she said it. It was the best idea ever. And I got the URL, and I just knew it was going to be a good one.
It was great. I love it. Oh, that's so cool.
Thank you.
So now you sit as the founder of this company.
Yes.
You have thousands and thousands of, I think you refer to them as beauty artists?
Artists, yes.
Okay, artists. And you have obviously tens of thousands, if not more, customers than I could ever even mention here. But it looks glamorous maybe to some looking at you now, but tell us a little, because tell us when it was hard. What was it like? The money, the hiring the right people. Everything that an entrepreneur has to do to make this vision happen.
Yeah. So there have been so many hard parts along the way, just getting the money to make the order in the first place. When I had saved, the blog was making some money, which before that, I was a single mom, was barely even able to pay my bills. And then the blog started making some money. So I was able to save about, I believe, $30,000. And that was incredibly amazing to me. And I thought, while I was waiting to kind of get the estimate on what the product was going to cost, I thought that'll probably cover it. We'll probably be good. And and I had told everyone about it, and everyone was expecting this product. And so when the estimate came, it was $180,000.
Wow.
I didn't have any credit. I didn't think, how are we going to do that? That's insane. That's an insane amount of money. And so my parents were willing to give everything they had. And my husband's parents at the time, I didn't think they had any money, but I just thought, we got to get this money. We have to make this order in 2 weeks. We didn't even have time to waste. And his dad called him and said, I have $120,000 that I'm getting from my retirement, and I'm willing to invest in your company.
Wow.
And the exact amount we needed, he got it out and to us within 2 weeks, which was crazy. I couldn't even imagine how that could happen. But then I had to wait for 6 months for the product, knowing that if this doesn't work out, I've just put in poverty my entire family. It's everything his parents have, everything my parents have, everything we have. So it's pretty wild. It was a pretty intense 6 months waiting and hoping that it was all going to work out. But it ended up working out.
So I'm holding in my hand what you referenced, and that is, I will persist until I succeed. Because I'm saying, you gave us 3 things, and then you're validating those 3 things by your creativity, by your optimism. And I'm listening to Og's words penetrate my mind, and everyone can go read it. I won't read it to you, but everyone can go read The Greatest Salesman in the World, The Greatest Salesman in the World, the Scroll Mark III, when he says, I will persist until I succeed. I was not delivered into this world in defeat. And that comes back to your courage, right? To overcome. I mean, I got nervous with you telling the story of somebody giving you their retirement money. How did you feel about that?
Yeah, so intense. And so it's just scary. You don't want to let anyone down. And there's been so many little moments throughout this whole journey where I just remember going to bed and kind of thinking, why have I done this? Why am I doing this?
Right.
It's worth it. Can I go back? Because it can be really scary. And there's steps, especially when you make a big step. At first, it's usually worse before it gets better. And at first, it's a lot more scary. And when you jump off, you're not flying right away. And I'm so grateful at those moments. And those, I think, are the moments that a lot of people say, you know what, this is too hard. I'm going to close up shop. I don't want to do this. And it's an overwhelming feeling. And you really, really want to just get away from it. But if you just get through that little rough area, you get on the other side. And it's always been so much better once I got on the other side of all of those times.
Well, that's why you're the guest today on the Greatest Salesman podcast, because you did it. You're doing it. You're living it. People talk about the people that I know that know you talk about your character and your passion and how you feel about making a contribution. And yet, so I wonder, when I look at the creativity, the optimism, the courage. And by the way, for those that are joining us, if you're new to the type of service we're using on StreamYard here, you can ask us a question as we go. If it's not on my list of questions, I'd love any of your questions for Cara, because she's done something really, really unique. I wonder if you could take me back, Cara. When was the first time you read The Greatest Salesman?
It was a couple years ago that I read. Mm-hmm.
And many people that jump on our podcast are going to know that we're going to encourage everyone to take our free assessment at habitfinder.com/act now. And that's my page. You'll watch my little 90-second video of me talking about how I had been reading these scrolls for, well, now it's 37 years, but I've been reading these scrolls. The scroll number 2 kind of wakes me up every morning when the first breath is taken and my eyes open and I realize I will greet this day with love in my heart. That was kind of if you think about where Og was going through alcoholism, and today I begin a new life with scroll number 1 and scroll number 2, I will greet this day with love in my heart. I grew up in a broken home. So, I mean, I didn't have someone to say, hey, son, I love you every day. Or, it wasn't a warm, fuzzy feeling. It was my brother and I basically throwing hockey sticks at each other's head every day. I mean, we were just annihilating each other. And so that scroll resonated with me in such a unique manner. I'm wondering for you, when you said that, I will persist until I succeed, is that the scroll that kind of stands out for you?
Yeah, for sure. That's definitely my favorite, because that's the one I think, and like I said, I think it's kind of cliche. People say never give up, and it's kind of one of those things that gets thrown around a lot. But for me, I really can't point to anything else. What if I was going to pick one singular thing that made all the difference? And that's just that persisting, and that really just being unwilling to take no for an answer and to not make it happen, and knowing that it will.
What if I understood your story correctly? You had some other options before going the direct selling route.
Mm-hmm.
And so how did that decision play into your life? And there's obviously a fork in the road for a lot of us when we make big decisions. What was that like for you?
So for me, the direct selling route was never a route that I was interested in or wanted to take. I had a lot of negative perspective on it. And I just really didn't think that it was a good route. And I'm a very, when I have something, I have very strong principles. And even if something was going to bring me more success, or, I wouldn't do it if I didn't feel good about it and I didn't feel like it was right. So for me, it was never really even on the table. And so I was looking into a bunch of different options, and I was looking into retail, and I actually had some huge retail companies that I had always been they were on my dream board on places that I would love to have the makeup, and it just wasn't feeling right. I could just, you have this little baby and you've raised it and you love it in a way that you want. If you're going to let someone else love on it too, you want them to see it the way you do. And I just wasn't getting that feeling. And meanwhile, this whole thing was kind of brewing on the other side, where I had all these women supporting me and loving me. And I felt so indebted to all the people that followed my blog and helped me create this company, and because they changed my life in such a huge, huge, miraculous way. And I was able to live the life that I had always dreamed of because of their help and because of their support and love. And so as they continued to support and love me and share this product and make parties and do all of this for nothing, I just kept thinking, we've got to make some system where we can pay them, because it was just kind of like people helping their friends buy the makeup and showing them how to look beautiful, and doing it just from a desire to help. And so that's kind of how I went down the rabbit hole of, okay, so how do we pay them back for their work? And then one step after another, I just saw the brilliance in the direct sales model and how you can really use it to help people give themselves a chance to do something that they love, and to do it on their own time and fit it into their own life. And it's just really what I did and what I was able to do with my blog replicated. And what better thing than to see something that changed my life and really, really took me from a place of, I was just really lonely and sad and felt like I did not have a lot of worth. And it wasn't just the financial change. It was the feeling of being able to help people with something and seeing that I could make a difference in people's lives that really changed the way that I felt about myself. And the idea that this company could also do that for others seemed like the best possible thing to do. But also, who better to, to share this baby with than the other people who love it as much as I do and see it the way I do. And I know they'll take care of it, and I know they'll share it the way that I would. And that if it can help put food on their table, how could a huge corporation ever compete with that? So that's kind of how I came around.
Wow. I mean, there's so much to unpack with what you just said. I'm thinking of the early stages of the book when Og Mandino is telling the story of Hafid, and he says, "I always counted on your friendship as my greatest asset, and what I now bestow on you is a little measure compared to your unending loyalty." So you're showing your loyalty to these artists, and you've mastered the art of living not for yourself alone, but for others. And I just wonder, how does that make you feel that you get to wake up every day and work with these thousands of beautiful entrepreneurs that are sharing your vision with you?
It's indescribable. It's the best feeling that I could ever have. And when I get to spend time with them, whether it's online or in person, it just reignites that love that I have for each one of them. And truly, truly, there's a real connection there. And we truly are all working on the same goal. And it's been something that when I was 11 and I wanted a makeup company and I dreamed of that, I could have never dreamed this up. And it's so much better than I ever could have imagined.
You led us to a point that I think is going to be profound for whoever listens to our podcast today or next month on Spotify or iHeartRadio or whatever. It could be 6 months or 6 years from now. Because what's interesting to me is that you had a dream board in your mind as an 11-year-old, but later on in the show, you mentioned that you actually had a dream board. How did that all come alive for you?
When I said dream board, I mostly did think in my mind. It was one of those goals, you have in your mind. So every step of the way, I kind of always wanted the same thing at the heart of it, which is, and I think that's why my blog had the popularity that it had, and the product and everything, and why we're able to, people are able to trust me, is because I genuinely want women to feel beautiful, and I want to bring beauty to the world. And that's just the truth. It's never changed, and the goals and the how to get there and all of the details have changed and morphed and grown and become, bigger than they ever were before. But the heart of it has always stayed the same. And it's nice to know, at least I believe, that as long as that's my goal and as long as that's where I'm headed, that the rest will kind of take care of itself. And it always has. And so, does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. I can't wait. I mean, one of the great things that I get to do as the show host is I get to learn, I get to take notes. And one of the great things about technology today is because we're live on Facebook right now, we can rewatch it. And I get to rewatch what you say. And I get to say to myself as an entrepreneur, how can I maybe take those three things you mentioned with creativity and optimism and courage and be better at those areas? And people have commented so much about this. And one of the things that is said when Pathros was talking to Hafid in the book, he says, true wealth is of the heart, not of the purse. And it seems like you've really metabolized that. Really what I guess Stephen Covey probably said it best in The 8th Habit, because The 7 Habits is a profound book. My wife had him as a professor in college, and a profound piece of literature. And The 8th Habit is really what you're living. And that is, you found your voice and you're empowered to help others find theirs.
Yes.
It's a special thing.
It is. It really is. I feel really lucky to be able to be part of that and part of the group that I'm part of.
So now to carry a little further on that, when I listen to you talk about helping women be beautiful, and then what we get to do with the Og Mandino Company with the Greatest Salesman podcast is try to help people be beautiful and happy on the inside as well. And that's why we do the free assessment with habitfinder.com/act now. If anyone hasn't taken that, do that. We just give that away. The Og Mandino Company, we give away a lot of stuff, right? And I know that you're empowered by, if you can make your team stronger on the inside, there's going to be a lot more beauty on the outside for a lot of people. They're going to prosper at degrees of success that maybe they didn't even see in themselves. Are you finding that with some of your team?
Oh, absolutely. It's so fun to see people shine. And I think beauty it isn't just outside or inside. It's really all encompassing. And to see people see themselves in a different way because of their accomplishments and because of, what they are able to do for others and what they're able to do for themselves it's such a beautiful thing. It's such a beautiful thing to witness.
Well, I got to just say this in conclusion here, that I am astounded by those three words that you chose. And I don't know that anyone would ever match you in that area. I really don't. I think it is so profound for our audience today to think about, even if we tried to take your words and analogize them to the way Og Mandino was as a writer. I mean, his creativity of telling this story,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the title is not even close to what the book does for somebody's life.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the greatest. It's just the greatest person inside of you. So your creativity, your optimism, and your courage. I got to imagine that when you took the assessment, the Habit Finder, the first, I think you've done that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I got to imagine that when you did a debrief with Paul or with Dave, it had to be an invigorating conversation.
Of course, yeah. They are very good to talk to.
Were you like me at all? I was a little bit nervous to take that. I'm not a good test taker. Were you nervous in any way taking that?
I wasn't going into it nervous, but it was just so weird. And I kept thinking, like, am I doing this right?
Exactly.
Does this mean anything?
And yet for me, when I did it 17 years ago, I can still remember the feeling I had
Mm-hmm.
when Dave Blanchard, the president of the Og Mandino Company, called me and he says, "Hey, I gave you this link to take the assessment. Are you still going to do it?" And I finally did it. And I remember spending 90 minutes with him. And I remember him telling me what some of my greatest qualities were and maybe how I could move the needle just a little bit on some of the weaker areas and bring these scrolls into full alignment with my life. And I can only imagine the kind of company you're going to build, being the kind of leader you are, aligning yourself with these types of principles. I guess, what would you say to somebody that maybe is just starting the journey today? Maybe they're brand new. Maybe they're in your company. Maybe they're not. Maybe they're in my company. Maybe they're in any direct selling company. What kind of pearls of wisdom would you say in closing?
I would say along the lines with the persisting, I think one of the things that did stop me up in the journey is you get to a point sometimes where you think, I need something outside of this, what I have, in order to get to the next step. And I think it's a trick we play on ourselves to keep ourselves from having to fail. And it just says, you know what? You can't do it without that thing. And that's where creativity and courage come in, and optimism, honestly, is just saying, okay, well, if I need that thing, this isn't a wall. This is just a hurdle. And I just need to find a way around it and find, with what I have right now, with what I have today, I have to find a way to take a step forward and to never let anything get in your way. Just even if the step doesn't feel like it's going to get you there, just as long as you're moving forward, eventually you're going to get there. And at any point, if you think you don't have what it takes to take the next step, you're either seeing a much too big step, or you're kind of missing 4 steps in between that you could be taking in the meantime. And that would be, for anyone starting out, my biggest hope is that they just keep moving forward and not being stagnant.
You know, you said something there that made me now want to ask you another question. So hopefully you can take another minute with our audience around the globe today. So many beautiful people that are chiming in. Patty just said, that was on the screen a moment ago, maybe our producer Miriam, who does such an unbelievable job, can put it back up. Patty just said that she was completely blown away when, there's her words right there on the screen. I don't know if you can see it. I was stopped in my tracks when my assessment was explained to me. And you said something that it should be looked at as a hurdle, not a wall. I loved that because, again, that comes back to your genuine, authentic you of being an optimist. There's no wall there. It's just a hurdle. I love that. That is just so fantastic.
Thank you. Even being an optimistic person, there were so many times when I just thought, oh, I can't do this next thing. And really, I couldn't see my way around it until I really stopped doing that and said, you know what, I'm not going to stop for anything. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get to the next step.
So I don't know the answer to this question. I should have asked you previous. Do you have a personal mission statement or a company mission statement that kind of guides you on a daily basis?
Yeah, I think the company mission statement is kind of definitely what inspires my personal mission, which both of those have those 3 words that I use today in them: courage, creativity, and optimism, which really is such a huge part of what guides us.
Again, just another example of how aligned you are with your life and your vision. I think it's just fantastic. If there's any entrepreneurs watching today that don't have their own business, that want to have their own business, Cara is somebody that hopefully has left some true pearls of wisdom here today. And boy, is there any link of any way someone, if they wanted to reach out to you, how would they do it?
Instagram. My Instagram is Mascara, MASKCARA, or mascarabeauty.com, or not .com, Mascara or Mascara Beauty on Instagram. You can reach me there, follow me, DM.
Terrific. Cara, I look forward to getting to know you better in the years to come. Your artist better. And I know yesterday we both shared a special day. I had a granddaughter turn 6, and you had a
son turn 2.
Son turn 2. So we both had a fun thing yesterday. And there you are. We have you up on the screen with at Mascara or Mascara Beauty. Is it at Mascara Beauty?
Yep. Perfect.
Fantastic. Well, listen, I hope everyone can appreciate what we're trying to do here at the Greatest Salesman Podcast. Every single Wednesday, 2 p.m. Pacific, we're live. It'll go on podcast sites around the world, YouTube, LinkedIn, etc. You can search us that way. And Cara, I just want to wish you nothing but the best success. Congratulations on your journey, your team, your contribution to so many lives here today, paying it forward. And I hope everybody gets as much out of this as I do. And I see people, they can't there's already people commenting, I can't wait to rewatch already. And you get to grab your notepad and your journals and take more notes. So, Cara, I hope you have the greatest day of your life. I'm Dan McCormick on behalf of the Greatest Salesman Podcast. She's Cara Brook, the founder of Mascara. Have the greatest day of your life, everybody, and bye for now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.